Heavy spoilers for Marvel's Echo, Daredevil, Hawkeye, and basically everything Marvel. You have been warned. The Kingpin is dead, and with that power vacuum, with multiple gang leaders fighting to fill that void, one of them, the Kingslayer herself, Maya Lopez, assembles her family and friends to take over his criminal empire. The Queenpin has arrived. While funding her local Choctaw government and community, the war spills over on innocent populations, and Maya has to decide what is more important to her standing as a criminal or her standing with her familial community. With that, she decides to stand with her community and shun her criminal past. While doing so, it is revealed that then Kingpin is miraculously alive. The fight ensues, and Maya is beaten badly. But then, her community surrounds the Kingpin, and with force of numbers, Kingpin vows revenge, but laughs at the challenge that this town has given him. He will not forget them. Maya celebrates with her community, but knows that there is an even larger fight ahead, and will need to ask a couple of past acquaintances or enemies for help. Nah, I'm just kidding. None of that happened. I literally just made that up.
It's totally made up. Pure fiction. It's fiction. It's fiction. We made it up.
What Echo truly is, on Disney Plus and Hulu, is a Frankenstein of a show that doesn't know what it wants to do, with the main character's motivations changing scene by scene and episode by episode. Surrounded by a cast that is actually likable and whose actors are doing a good job with what they have to do. It feels like the story had a much different path that it wanted to take, then had to make changes. I say Frankenstein monster because Maya's appearance does change a lot from episode to episode, and sometimes from even scene to scene. I know the actress announced that she was pregnant, and congratulations to her and her family. I really do wish them all the best and many more blessings ahead. But her appearance does change on the show, almost as if you can tell when reshoots happen and when the narrative was created in the editing bay. Not only all the music montages and driving montages that fill the time. Don't get me wrong, I think a music/driving montage can mean a lot to the story, referring to, of course, the pilot episode of the Miami Vice show, with these two characters are just driving and contemplating what could very well be their last night on Earth. Also, huge shout out to Indigo Gaming, who did an amazing documentary on Miami Vice. Here, she rides her motorcycle again and again, and we see the same mural again and again, almost like the creators of the show think that we forgot where the show was taking place. The editing is a telltale sign that this series didn't know what to do or say. Kevin Feige reportedly thought Echo was unreleasable before reshoots, and you can see them here trying to stitch together something that is somewhat of a story. The marketing touted that this is Marvel's MA rated project, but it barely fits into that rating, with mostly CG blood and violence that looks like it was added in post to give this a marketing push. The two bloodiest being the headshot in the first episode and the dude choking on his own blood in the third. These moments of violence seem out of place with the overall narrative, as the rest of the show is very tame. I really had a hard time with what to say, so I'm going to sprinkle some thoughts throughout the synopsis of the show, but there are many. So let's talk about the story. We're introduced to the Choctaw origins and then see a young Maya, her cousin Bonnie, her parents and grandparents. Seems like a nice time and a nice family. It starts to rain and the girls come in. Maya mentions how she wants hot chocolate. Her mom says that they don't have any, but let's go get some. They drive for some time, and then they notice that the brakes don't work. They then run an intersection where they are T-boned. Maya's mother is dead, and a sharp 3x6-inch piece of glass is stuck in Maya's leg. Now, having recently been a victim in a smash and grab on my car, and looking further into this would not happen. Not even in a truck from the 80s or the 70s. Safety glass has been used since the 50s for this very reason, and shatters into a million pieces. So already, I go, oh no with this show. But okay, so Maya's missing a leg now, and grows up with her mom gone. Her and her father moved to New York, where we see her taking martial arts as a kid. At least she has some training. Her dad says that it's schoolwork for her and not a life of criminality or whatever he does. Fast forward to her sparring with some guy who she then beats. This is basically a recap of the events of the Hawkeye series, where we see Ronin, or Hawkeye, straight murking dudes. And then finally, Maya's dad himself, which always makes me laugh because Ronin seeing another person and fleeing instead of killing or questioning her is hilarious to me. It's very lame. But anyways, Maya acts out and almost gets arrested for flinging a motorcycle into a cop. car? That's what they came up with to get Kingpin out to help her? Okay, another thing, I guess. Kingpin says, I have a job for you. Her first mission with some Kingpin dudes is going to be her introduction into the world of violence and slaughter, with her killing multiple people in the name of Kingpin. She then fights Daredevil. Now, this is Daredevil right now, or in before the Hawkeye series. Prime Daredevil superhero status. He says he's been watching them, and now they're dead because of her and her friends. He doesn't question them, and no cops roll up, and Daredevil lets her walk away? And let's talk about the fight. This looks like someone's first attempt at making a one-shot. And no disrespect to the director, but things like this take a lot of time to plan out, and this looks like it was digitally manipulated afterwards to be a one-shot. Too many discrepancies to be one. And at that point, just don't do it. I compare this fight to the kitchen fight in Raid 2. Brutal and with cuts, but the intensity is there in the fight, with sure signs of damage and fatigue on each opponent. This one seems like a dance. It's not a brawl at all. She should be a brawler. Matt Murdock is a brawler as well, with some martial arts skills. I will give credit to the tackle by Maya's co-worker. That was good. But everything else in it just seemed so light. No weight behind the hits because none of them have any damage or reaction. Maya got hit in the face with metal. Kingpin claims that no one has ever stood up to Daredevil like that, forgetting Bullseye from season 3, I guess. And yes, it is now confirmed that these shows are canon, and on the canon sacred timeline, she becomes the commander of the Tracksuit Mafia and fighting Hawkeye in a junkyard, holding her own but losing in the end. Probably because she was a villain at the time, which is good. Hawkeye mentions that Kingpin wanted her dad dead. She calls him a liar, but then exacts her revenge in the finale of the Hawkeye show. We catch up to Maya in this show, who is hurt somehow as she gets home to Oklahoma, almost passing out, but waking up to a truck honking its horn for no reason. Seriously, she's behind the truck, so why did it honk the horn? She then swerves into another car on oncoming traffic who actually does honk the horn, which makes sense. She gets to her familial home where she stitches herself up for the night, and the next morning we meet her cousin, who supposedly hasn't seen her in 20 years, but still knows ASL, and apparently everyone does in this season, even though Maya's mom and her haven't been around for that long. She says this needs to be a secret, with her cousin proclaiming Maya Lopez is back. She then goes out in public to a roller skate rink to see her uncle, who he himself does work for the Fisk Empire, as all the Lopez boys seem to do. He gets her stitched up, and she reveals her intentions to take down and take over Kingpin's empire. Time for a queen, she proclaims. He says, leave me out of it and you'll bring nothing but death and destruction to their community. So far, so good. Nothing too bad about it. I get having to do a recap because they have the analytics that show that not many people watch the Hawkeye show, but okay, all good. The next 2 episodes are a slog. Episode 2 starts with another flashback to 1200 AD, and what may be the weirdest choice of camera lens since I watched Rebel Moon. This is a very wide-angle lens that almost gives this field hockey game a motion sickness feeling to me. I didn't know what the point of this lens was, but it may have been an attempt to make the game larger than it seems. Because the field is extremely small and the people seem to run on either side in a split second, it really didn't give me any feeling of a grand game at all. And it didn't do anything to cover up the non-athleticism of the plays on the field. The blue team calls upon a Hulk of a dude with some steroids. They are like 1 away from losing, and the blue team is able to catch up. Then Maya's ancestor has a flashback to the original Choctaw, then flips and wins the game somehow due to strategy. Yay. This is going to happen multiple times in the series, revealing only to the audience Maya's ancestry. We see that Maya is planning and executing a secret attack on a shipping container of Fisk's weapons. The CG on the train is okay, at least it's dark, but not the greatest. After doing what she had to do, I guess, on the thing, she gets stuck between 2 train cars. Then with a flashback to her ancestor, she draws enough strength to move the train car. So she has super strength, I guess. We see a huge explosion on the bad guy's base, and that's basically it. Maya got another history lesson on the Choctaw origins from her grandpa. Maya did mention to her Uncle Henry that it was her and that they hit her, so she hit them back. This episode had a funny scene with the grandpa but not grandpa messing with some tourists, which honestly did give me a little chuckle.
Mother Earth,
Like I said, the supporting cast is mostly great. I don't really care much for the grandma. Her facial expressions did give me a laugh though, but I think it was unintended. Except for the Umbrella Academy try-hard part with Biscuits driving past his grandma. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
It is also revealed by Biscuits unintentionally that Maya is back in town. And Bonnie hits up Maya and says, "Why didn't you tell me?" So the secret is out. Maya is back in town. And how else would you know? It's not like she's been showing up around town in broad daylight. Wait, episode 3 has got to be the low point of the show. We see a group of straight up idiots take Maya captive, and apparently because of her ancestors distract her and want her dead, my own opinion. But before that, we get introduced in another flashback to another ancestor. This one is a child of a light horseman, which were basically marshals of the territory. This ancestor is a crack shot and a stone cold killer apparently. She claims that she wants to be a light horseman too, just like her dad, who says, "No, you are a woman, dum-dum." What a bigot. She runs off and her dad goes on a mission. She follows and then stands on a rock with no cover and slays the bandits. Yay, she won the day. Anyways, back to present day. After her ancestor wants to murder her by distracting her, the 3 idiota amigos string out Maya on a really tall ceiling, by the way, and with her prosthetic leg. Like, you didn't know she had a fake leg while stringing her up? This episode is a serious question of any amount of intelligence to the viewer. With the guards posted outside the door, with them giving her foot back, and why? Just so they don't look insensitive to the person without a leg who you're turning her over to die, and she gets to keep her foot? It helps if she tries to get away, right? To leave it outside the door? Jesus Christ. Bonnie comes by, and there actually is a good, clever use of hand signals to tell her that something is up with Henry. But that is all for naught, as Bonnie is captive as well. She gets put into the same room as Maya, and drama ensues, but is put away very quickly with some very dull dialogue. This is where I'm going to mention that the use of ASL throughout may not have been the right call. Having the actors trying to emote but also making the hand signals and saying the lines with them is a distraction. I will never understand why Maya doesn't read lips and she can't make out what anyone is saying at all. I may not be a professional, but if Major Payne taught me anything, it is that it can be done.
Do you speak sign language? Can you read lips? Let me break it down. If you don't answer me when I speak to you, I'm gonna put my foot in your ass. Is that clear, dummy?
And this is for every single interaction, including the ending. But we'll get to that later. It also infringes on the cinematography, as mentioned by the director, that they had to shoot everybody from the waist up so that way their hand signals could be seen in the frame. To me, this does hurt the cinematic quality of the shots and of the show. Where was I? Anyways, dude makes a call and then the real baddies show up and they are so stone cold that they murder him. And it is brutal, choking on his own blood and dying on a table. It is one of the most interesting shots of the show, and it is CG, which again makes me think that it is done in post-production to drum up some marketing buzz. Anyways, Maya makes a bearing shooting machine and it takes out the biggin of the group. I seriously think that Harry and Marv from Home Alone have more sense than these guys do. Then Maya takes out the real bad guys in the laser tag area, but then gets captured herself after straight murdering a couple guys with ski balls and light gun whips, which was actually pretty cool. Right when her and her uncle are about to die, a dude gets a call. He then takes his men and leaves her be. Who, oh who, could have made that call? Dun dun dun! The episode ends in what totally looks like a reshoot. Maya looks different, and the costume and the sets look different from the other scenes as well. But episode 4 is actually the highlight of the show. It goes into the past and present relationship with the Kingpin, showing him picking her up for some reason as a kid, then beating the daylights out of a dude in front of her, and she kicks him, which was a nice touch. To a dinner scene in the current time, which actually does have tension. I would say that most of the tension may be coming from the audience's knowledge of Kingpin as a character from past viewings of the Daredevil show. If you have just seen him in Hawkeye show alone, I don't believe he carries the same threat level. But with that, they do play off of Maya not trusting him, even having a funny bit with the wine. So she gives him a Shasta. Nice product placement, Shasta. Really shelled out for that one. But she accepts her favorite cookies. Shout out to those cookies! Kingpin then says to meet her at the casino with her choice. Casino, get it? Casino. Maya has a talk with Henry, who they then go to her grandmother, Chula, And another great scene with two characters coming to terms with themselves and Maya coming to terms with who she is and what her power is. She confronts Kingpin at the casino, who fully expects her to kill him and gives her the tools to do so. It is the hammer that Wilson used to kill his dad. Okay, now let's talk about this for a second. It is the wrong type of hammer. This one, in Echo, is a ball-peen hammer, used for chiseling materials and striking punches, used mostly in metalworking. Now, we know in the Daredevil show, which is canon now, Wilson and his dad were using claw hammers since they were working with wood and nails for his dad's run in politics. Using the claw hammer, Wilson kills his dad, not a ball-peen hammer. So this is either just another example of Marvel and their creators not doing their homework, which is my total hypothesis, and I can make another video on that, or this is Wilson messing with Maya and waiting to see what she can do, and just grabbed a whatever hammer off the shelf. This is giving a lot of leeway to the creators though, and is a major stretch, but you never know. The third option is that the Daredevil show was not canon during the making of this show, and they had other plans at the time, which means that it may parallel what happened on that show, but it wasn't the same exact events that happened in that show, which would make sense, but now it doesn't make sense since those shows are canon and in universe and on the sacred timeline. Maya doesn't shoot nor hits Kingpin, and he asks her to join him on the plane, but she rides her motorcycle off and away from the town instead. Wilson is pissed and on the plane, which by the way is the second time we see him taking off his eye patch, which makes me again think that one of these scenes is a reshoot, because it isn't a reveal anymore since we already saw him do this at the dinner scene. Just very weird editing throughout this entire show. This is a setup for Kingpin's attack and what could be a very good finale, talking about Maya, her community, and the crime lord. But no, most of the finale is dancing at the powwow. I swear, this goes on forever. It is so awkward and it doesn't drum up any tension at all. It feels like it's just there. And I get that pieces were getting set and her grandma and her cousin are missing, and so Maya comes back. She finds a costume and is confronted by her mom, who we see here actually does have legit healing powers. Now in episode 4, Chula does tell Maya that her mom did have healing powers, but did Maya not know that? We see in episode 5 at the end that Maya knew her mom healed a bird, because it freaking flew away after she tried to murder it. So now that Maya knows she has the power of her ancestors or whatever, cause costume, she finds her way infiltrating through the dancing, which this scene goes on forever. I guess maybe they had to pad the time, so keep dancing. She sees the woodpecker, so she goes to the shed and has a gun. We see Kingpin come out and reveal that he had Chula and Bonnie. They talk, and Maya, who still can't read lips, has to look at Bonnie, who is translating. Like what the hell, dude? Just read lips. Okay, I'll stop. Henry shows up and has a gun and asks Biscuits if he's got a weapon. He says he's got something better. Okay. Maya calls upon the power of her ancestors, which I guess is super strength fighty warriors, and is able to pass that power to her family because Grandma and Bonnie now are super fighters as well. This would all be ended by a dude with a gun. So anyways.
My pieces.
Your pieces?
My gun.
Oh.
Anyway, I started blasting. Bah!
Wow.
Bah! Well, I don't see so good, so I missed.
Bad dude is on his motorhome with an RPG, and Henry shoots him with a silenced pistol and winks. And they even add a little ding, like, what the hell is this show? Biscuits sees 2 white vans and assumes that there are bad guys in it. Luckily for him, they are. And then murders about 20 men in one go. Those white vans must be a mangle of bodies, gore, and sinew when the cops get in there, right? Good lord. Anyways, Kingpin is about to F up Maya's day, and she fights him with the power of love and healing, which brings him to his knees because he's never felt love before, right, Vanessa? She then goes into his mind, which I thought was actually pretty cool. Vincent is truly bringing it here. But again, we see the hammer out of place. This isn't how he killed his dad, Marvel, and she tells him just to let it go. So then they both come out and he asks her, what did she do? Which is the exact same freaking question we're all asking, because what the hell? The scene inside Wilson's mind could have been a really great dramatic piece. Maya fully understanding the feeling that Wilson has been going through and her reaction to the torment that he had to endure. But instead we get a simple, let it go. And then he runs off to New York crying. The cops come in and Wilson gets away because plot. And then the family has a barbecue, like it's the end of Fast and Furious or something.
Family, family,
family.
So that's basically the plot, but I really can't stress enough what a failure this show is. I was mostly bored and really having a hard time of what to say on this video other than these items. If you're introducing a character to an audience, you have one shot to make a great impression. And it seems like Marvel had one goal with this, to show off a culture of people, and yes, to check boxes. I say that because that is what everyone is talking about, how she is deaf, indigenous, and is missing a leg.
Deaf consultants, deaf actors, deaf writers,
deaf indigenous amputee girl,
deaf community, deaf
representation,
deaf representation,
More inclusive.
Good for you all, and glad you feel represented. But shouldn't you want something that is actually thoughtful? And it is sad because I want nothing but the best for these characters in the universe, especially their Daredevil street level stories. Daredevil is one of my favorite shows of all time, but it is not just the flipping and fighting. It was the building of those characters and their intentions with each character and the drama that ensued that made us care. With this, it seemed like they had something, gave it to Marvel, and they said, what is this? This needs to be the new thing for our new brand. Plus Daredevil is coming, so set that up too. So they reshot and re-edited everything that they were originally wanting to do. I wish it was either way. Fully a look at growing up as Kingpin's niece, or have him not be around at all and be a shadow character pulling the strings with a final episode reveal that he is indeed alive, setting up the future shows. It feels like they tried to split the baby here, with neither side being fulfilling. Again, it is the choices of the creatives in charge, writing, directing, editing, that I have a problem with. It seemed like every actor was doing their best with what they were wanting to accomplish, but the mission may have been flawed from the start. Supposedly the series didn't take too much money to make, which is good. Hopefully Marvel's learning a lesson on budgeting their actual projects, but with a limited amount of audience that this is going to hit because of the forced MA rating, I'm not sure if this is going to lead to anything other than Fisk running or being mayor. And that's it. Again, Alaqua Cox is fine. She started to use some acting abilities in episode 4 with her grandmother, but other than that, a pretty stern face and delivery. My favorites were definitely the dudes playing Henry and Scully. Major props. And I'll give some props to the actress playing the grandma as well, even though I thought her facial expressions were kind of funny in some scenes. All in all, again, if you're a Marvel completionist, you can watch it, but not sure what you'll see in it. I will always say, see it for yourself or not. This is just my analysis with the material. I wish it was better. I wish I was stoked for the future of Echo and others, but unfortunately all I feel again is apathy and sadness. We'll see if Marvel rights the ship again, or will they flounder and continue a downward spiral that they are currently on. Give the projects to creators and creatives who know and love the material. Hire people to run the shows who know what they're talking about, and hire some of the best workers and crews that you can, because the next show needs to land the haymaker, or it's gonna get knocked out. Hey, thank you very much for watching the video. If you like what I do here, feel free to subscribe. Also, hit the like button, it really does help us out with the algorithms. If you didn't like it, thank you for watching still, and I'll see you in the next video. As always, let's have a discussion in the comments, your thoughts, opinions on the show, and have a great day.